Hey everybody. So today we're going to do a 5-minute makeup tutorial, and this is supposed to be really easy, really quick, something you can do before you go to work in the morning. This is my normal everyday makeup regimen because I teach in the daytime, so I don't do anything extravagant with my face, and I'm always pressed for time because I want to sleep as late as possible. So to start, you always want to clean your face. Wash it with whatever face wash works best for you, and make sure you have a good moisturizer for your skin. I have oily skin, so I tend to get things that are water-based and also has some SPF, sun protection. So after that, because I have sensitive skin in this area here and also around my brow, I usually go in with a little concealer, but before my concealer starts, I always do my brow because the brows frame the face. So you just want to make sure that you comb them up. And I use a Maybelline pencil in dark brown. It's called Define a Brow, and it's really good. So I just use that to really give me that clean brow that I'm looking for. I start with really small strokes and I continue in the direction that my hair grows. Very lightly, because if you do it too heavy, then it's going to look like you plastered something on your face. And you don't want that to happen. So come up under the bottom portion, make that clean line, go around the arch, and just fill it in. And I like a thick brow, so I keep my brows just a little bit to keep the consistency. All right, so the next thing for me is concealer, and I don't usually put concealer under my eyes simply because it's not too dark, but around my nose area I get red right up in here, so I just take my concealer, and this is MAC concealer. I'm not sure exactly what color, but whatever color is for you. And I just take a tap, just a tap of concealer, and I put here on both sides of my nose because I tend to get red in this area, and it's somewhat wet when you initially put it on, so I don't really worry about getting it too dry. I take another few more taps with my concealer brush, and then I kind of line my brow and get it clean. I start with the edges. The corners of my eyes tend to get really red, so I just come with my concealer, and I want to be nice and clean right under the brow. Now to come in and sweep over my eye to give myself a nice, clean, even palette to work with, just in case that day I want to wear something colorful over my eyes. Sometimes I keep it really simple and there is basically no color. So done with that eye. Now I'm going to go to the other. Do the same. So after you've done the bottom, you can always do the top. Some days I do the top, and other days I don't do it as much. It just depends on if I'm in a rush or whatnot. But if I wake up one time, then I'll go ahead and do the top. So back to this bottom here where I put my initial concealer. It's about dry, so I'm just blending it in with my skin tone. And if you have any pimples, I have a little pimple here, you dot that a little bit. And so at this point, I'm probably working with about, so far I've spent maybe 3 minutes on my face. Maybe 3 minutes. More so along the lines of 2. Next thing I get is my powder. I don't wear concealer every day. It's really heavy. I'm teaching kids. I coach track, and so I'm sweating and stuff like that. So I don't really want to wear just a full-blown makeup every day. I don't want to be like bam for the kids. So what I do is powder over my concealer. Now that I have a nice clean foundation, I get the powder and I buff everything nice and good. Okay, so my choice of powder at the moment is by Maybelline, and you can get this from your grocery store, Walgreens, or maybe you can also get it from CVS, and it's Fit Me, and I use the color 355, and I find that this color works on skin tones a tad darker than mine and also a tad lighter, so you'll be really good if you get that skin tone. Get your brush that is for whatever brush you use for powder. And what you want to do is kind of just swivel that brush, pick you up some powder, tap it, you know, to get that excess off of there. And then you start with one portion of your face and you just buff in circles. Picking up a little more powder and buffing in circles. Buffing in circles. And buff, 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 buff. Okay, let's come up here to the forehead area and back around where my eyebrow is, and I go over the eye. If I'm wearing, if I choose that particular day that I'm going to be wearing some color on my face, then I don't go over my eye until the very end, because of course you want to set that color. So I'm coming up around my neck and my ear and here, and I haven't really put a lot of makeup, I would say, on my face, but you will see the difference between the two sides. So this side here, you still see a little discoloration, shininess, and this other portion here, it's like nice and smooth. So I like how you can get that effect with any powder that is not super harsh. So let's go to the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing with the buffing. And I'm going to buff, 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 buff. And this little thing here, it can be very soothing for you. I'm going to close my eye because I'm not really doing anything special. It's just basic makeup tutorial. This is, you know, these are techniques for those girls that are not like super into makeup, and you know, they think makeup is really hard, but makeup doesn't have to be hard. It can be pretty simple, and so I like to take the simplistic approach when need be. And this looks really natural. It doesn't have anything on. Oh my gosh, my skin is clear. Just for good charm, I'm going to put just a few more drops. And if you are you have dark circles, or you have more acne marks or blemishes or things like that, you can always up your concealer and put a lighter color here and also cover those imperfections. So the next thing I do is I usually decide on what type of shadow I'd like to use, and usually on my lid I'll go with something that has a little pop, but not too much. This is something you can, a color palette you can get from anywhere. I mean, just choose something that you like. I like to stick with something when I'm working that is maybe along this taupey area or somewhat darker pink. So for today, oops, I'm going to do this medium pink right here. Kind of doesn't look pink, but it is. So I'm going to do this medium pink right on my lid. Just spread that on, and you kind of work it in a little bit, circular motion, side to side, whatever you like to do. Just bring it in. Okay, that's one eye done.